This should be played at high volume, preferably in a residential area.
It's the Dirty Laundry Game-Worn Hockey Podcast.
We're old school, right? We wash our own dirty laundry.
The name on the front is a hell of a lot more important than the one on the back.
I refuse to be judged by a grown man wearing a hockey jersey.
Game on!
Game on!
We are back with another episode of the Dirty Laundry Game-Worn Hockey Podcast from the St. Louis Expo. It is currently 10 after 8 Saturday morning. Yes. I went and got breakfast just a bit ago, walked out, and guys were waiting outside for you to unlock the door.
I'm not the best morning person, so Kevin Jones.
Slide that up a little bit closer to you. There you go.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I think I just turned it off. You're not going to be able to cut that, aren't you?
Oh, yeah, you're fine.
Yeah, so I'm not the best morning person. So Kevin Jones and a couple guys are standing out there, and Kevin texted me and asked me if I was coming, and I'm like, yeah, I'll be there at 8. That's about as early as you're getting me.
Well, I mean, we had a late night. A lot of us got here mid-afternoon. Cliffy, by the time I got here at 2, had half his shit set up already.
Yeah. Got an early entrance to the room. Shout out to my friends here at the Doubletree in Collinsville. They let us get in early this year and really got a head start, which knocked out a lot of stuff. And it actually allowed for, at 5 or 6 o'clock when everybody else kind of showed up normally to unpack. It was a lot smoother transition this year. So that was really nice. And by the time we left last night, it was pretty much almost a ready to go show.
Yeah, we yesterday, of course, I got in, you had your stuff set up, Cliff and anybody watching the video, we have his in the background. Yeah, we actually brought a camera this year, so we'll be, as we do some interviews and that, it won't be just audio, we'll actually do video. Pete G from Chicago got here last night. Milt made it in, is setting his stuff up this morning, got his tables, Heritage Auctions. It's funny how much we cranked out on Friday afternoon, evening, and went out and had a little dinner. And it's funny, just going around people's tables already and picking stuff up and looking what people had gotten from last year and comparing repairs and just weird crap.
Yeah, that's the incredible thing. And you're going to have a Fanatics here tomorrow for us to look at, a Fanatics.
Yes, the Blues did an auction of some of the preseason guys that played in the rookie camps and other stuff. But wearing the Fanatics jerseys, I was surprised to actually see an auction that quick from anybody. And if anybody other teams have picked one of those up, let us know. I'd love to compare. But the Blues should be bringing that to us tomorrow, so I know we'll be talking about that. We're going to have Rinkside on the show tomorrow. Of course, both your autograph signers.
Yeah, Mike should be here this morning. I texted with him last night, and I'm sure Dwight's going to be good. I'll text with him today. So excited for that. Excited just to kind of what you mentioned, right off the bat, yesterday we're going around looking at some just incredible stuff, the stuff Milt brings and Pete G, and Kevin Jones brought some really incredible stuff. He brought a helmet, and of course you guys can see Brian's setup behind us, which is always
and this is only half of it from the camera. Trying to adjust that. There's the whole setup, and again, seeing it on a video does not do that justice, because you're at 25-ish 30 feet worth of display.
It's pretty incredible.
And it's all over. He brought a blues section. He's got Vegas stuff. Just a mix. We've got one of the guys down there, one of the blues collectors, but also has a ton of Tampa Bay stuff down there. Like
collection's incredible.
Pete, like I said, Pete G with a ton of Blackhawk stuff. So no matter where, and we talked about this before with other expos, no matter where you go, okay, if it's city focused, sure, you're going to see a lot of that team, but you're not going to just see that.
No.
I mean, just Clifford's rack alone here, looking across the way, you've got Dallas, you've got Bruins, you've got just crazy stuff. I see a ref jersey in there. Milt's got everything.
Milt always has everything.
Well, right.
And, and then just around the room, Rick's got a lot of eclectic fun stuff, Rick Ackerman. Some of these guys just bring some stuff out. The baseball guys bring out some incredible stuff. That's one of the really my favorite parts of it, is just seeing everybody interact and that mixture of stuff. So really going to be a fun weekend, and I'm glad to be able to host something that I take a lot of pride in.
Yeah, and I know everybody's excited. I've talked to several people that aren't displaying but are stopping by either today or Sunday to either pick up stuff or just see what's available or just check it out, because it keeps expanding, and as you hear about it,
commerce is in the air.
Yes. The and the already overused joke by Kevin Jones.
We'll figure it out.
Yes, when we talk, people talking about making deals and people are looking at things. Yep, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we always.
But that's just how this hobby is.
And we always do, and that's part of the brotherhood or the familyhood of this whole thing. And the trust is a lot of times deals can happen. You can grab something and have it, and you'll figure it out at some point down the road. And everybody always seems to turn out happy in these deals. So,
and I know some of the pictures we've already posted online, people reach out, hey, what's that in that picture?
Absolutely.
And you may make sales by somebody randomly seeing it online and reaching out to somebody here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or they have their wish list of, hey, I'm looking for this player, and we're glad to help. It doesn't matter if you're not here. If that fits in your collection, we'll help broker the deal. And it's not like we're going to say, oh, well, we want to cut it. No, it's part of it.
Yeah, that's part of the hobby, and it's a fun part of it. So, I'm excited to have a fun couple days. Glad the buildup is over for me, because part of the struggle is getting to this point where everything's kind of in the room and everybody showed up and everybody's safe, because otherwise it can be, it's an overwhelming, daunting task sometimes.
But now we're here, and even like I said, late afternoon yesterday, it was a lot of, I want to say sitting around, but being able to already relax at that point and just catch up as people were wheeling stuff in and just
watching
visiting.
You set up 2 tables. I mean, you did your booth with the Blues captain stuff, great stuff, and then you set up the setup here for the podcast. So kudos to you for doing that, and thanks for working so hard for the show.
Oh, and it's fun. It's an opportunity because. And hopefully down the road I can make it to more expos with the equipment and do them from different places. But it brings a different connection to the collectors.
And we heard the disappointment for people that didn't get their normal Friday morning show this week. Because we canceled the Thursday show just to accommodate this. So if you're listening and you were disappointed that we didn't do our normal Friday morning drop, we'll refill you. We promise.
But I will say, and that. It shows how much the show's appreciated, and it means a lot to me to hear that. And I know you hear it as well. It's funny, by 10, 11 noon on a Friday, I'll have messages from 2 or 3 people. Hey, great show. Love that you covered this, whatever. Yeah. But it's become, because we pretty much locked into a schedule most of the time. Yeah. It's become those people's routine. Yeah. And yes, I do apologize when we throw it off, but sometimes scheduling just happens. Right? Yeah. I promise in the future, we will put out a notice saying, hey, no show Friday morning due to the expo, due to whatever, just so people, when they go to their Spotify or wherever, don't find a new show and they're crying in their coffee.
Yeah, but thanks for the support. And, that's been one of the cool things I think we've both gotten to hear about, and we always hear about, is people that do listen and tune into the show. And, thank you guys for supporting not only the show, but the hobby and just everything in general. I'm just so fortunate to be a part of this.
Oh, it's been just fun to catch up and tell stories, and we had dinner with everybody last night, and Pete G's talking about some of his old Blackhawk stuff and how he'd worked with Chelios and all these people, incredible. And it's just cool to hear that, because unless you see those people or it comes up for conversation, you may not hear that.
You miss those connections on the internet. You miss those connections in your Facebook chat. You miss those connections. And that's why, here we say it all the time. And, I always, Dan Day, Matt McGonnell, those guys are always talking about, getting to a show. Everybody, we're saying it. It's so true. Those guys are so right. And, get out to these expos, get out and meet the people that you're talking to online, or that you've seen their profile, or that you've done a deal with. It's just such a huge part of what we do and enjoying the hobby.
Yeah. And my God, you had, not to rat you out, but it was fun to listen to and watch your interaction. Is one of the gentlemen who does have a booth here, is local to the area, and you guys got to talking about arena football and all that stuff, and basically he's had seen you play at the same time and all this stuff, but just even that of a conversation, because he's here, it came up, and now you're talking about getting your jerseys to show him, and it's just expanding beyond what normally would
flattering,
happen.
and it's neat to be. I guess at some level, and I don't try to talk about me being an athlete very often, but being an athlete is something that you hope somebody remembers you, and that was very flattering. Like I can't say how neat that was, and I am going to try to run home after the show tonight and grab some stuff to bring back from my playing days to show him.
Which you should. You played at a level that a lot of people have not. Don't
Very blessed.
Don't dismiss that.
Very blessed. So, enough about me. Let's talk about that shirt. I mean, what a fantastic shirt. Doc yesterday was wearing a Dirty Laundry Game Worn Hockey Podcast shirt. Like that looks
fancy
like
button up. Yeah, looks just like the tablecloth.
Fantastic. Doc's always going to kill it with the shirts, and I'm going to run off here and get ready to go for the show. We're going to have a bunch of segments today with
the
a bunch
Expo
of people.
is rolling along. Wade
let's have a great weekend, and I hope you guys enjoy the podcast.
One of the special guests from the weekend. I mean,
and all the different
the
segments
whole
with all
room's
the people.
special. We got so much to cover, and
hope
to bring everybody
Mike
that's
Zuke
in the room displaying on.
More than one show.
And hanging out
Yes,
today.
So,
3 or 4 or 5.
Hey, my pleasure.
so thank you guys, and
enjoy
we'll talk to you a little later.
I'm going to leave you and Doc to chat for a few minutes, and you guys enjoy. I'll let you guys have a little conversation.
Wade's got to make the rounds around the room. So, Mike, tell us, for non-blues fans, tell the listeners kind of about your background a little bit.
Well, I grew up in Canada. Actually played junior hockey there in Sault Ste. Marie, and then took a scholarship at Michigan Tech, played 4 years at Michigan Tech. Actually, our team, the Michigan Tech Huskies, played against the Minnesota Gophers. Who was the Olympic coach? I forget his name right now.
Oh, and of course, the 80s Olympic coach, and all of a sudden I can't pull my name.
Yeah. So anyway, it'll come to me.
Yes.
But we played against them 3 years in a row.
Oh, wow.
For the NCAA championship. And my second year playing, my second year playing college hockey, played in Boston. Third year, I played against Minnesota. We played against Minnesota. We won the NCAA championship in St. Louis.
Oh, wow.
In 1975.
Herb Brooks, by the way.
Brooks, yes. And then the next year we played against them again in Denver, and they won. So we won one, they won two.
But the fact you won it in St. Louis.
In St. Louis, that was neat. And at the time, St. Louis had already drafted me. So I was already
even a little bit more special there.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember driving down the highway and guys were, joking like, "Hey, Zuke, where are you going to live?" When we were driving down Highway 40.
So I guess, and going back to that a little bit with the draft, is we see it on TV now. I mean, it was in Vegas and the dome and all that kind of stuff. How did the draft work back when you were drafted?
Back then, I think they did it by phone.
Wow.
And, you knew when the draft was coming, and, a day or so later after you got drafted, you might get a phone call from the manager and saying, "Hey, we drafted you." You might not, but you read it somewhere, somehow or other. I had an agent at the time, or somebody that wanted to be my agent, because you couldn't have an agent when you were in college. So the guy who wanted to have me sign as an agent called me and said, "Hey, Mike, you got drafted by the Blues. You want me to start talking to them, whatever?" And I just said, "No, I'm going to finish my college career." So I got drafted my sophomore year, played 2 more years of college.
And that wasn't unusual back then, that most people finished out college.
Well, back then, the NHL guys didn't appreciate college hockey players that much. Red Berenson was one of the first, Keith Magnuson, Lou Nanny. There were a few others that came out of college, did well, but they didn't appreciate the ability of the college player until the 80 Olympics.
Yeah, funny how that changed a few things.
As soon as they won, and then Morrow actually moved into the NHL. He's the only guy, he's probably the only guy that won a gold medal and a Stanley Cup in the same year.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, so he played. Mark Johnson. I mean, I bet half of the guys that played on the gold medal team ended up playing in the NHL. Some of them had really good careers.
Oh, sure.
And at that time, then all of a sudden, it dawned on the NHL powers that be that hey, maybe college hockey players are pretty good. And now, I bet you 35% of the players in the NHL play college hockey. And they love it. NHL loves college hockey.
Oh yeah, because it's that pipeline has become such a great tool, and
it's a pipeline. But what it also is a minor league team that you don't have to pay the guys.
Good point.
Because the guys that are 20 years old out of junior A, if they've been drafted by a team and they have some potential, the NHL team has to sign them to keep their rights. So they pay them, put them in the minors to develop, and then maybe at some point they turn into good pros. If they draft a college kid, they keep them in college for a year or 2 years if they have to. 3 years, don't pay them a cent. And then they get the 22, 23, 24-year-old rookie that can make the team, and they haven't paid them. So they love college hockey.
And from the economic side for sure.
Yeah.
So you come through college and of course drafted by the Blues. What was your first year like when you started with St. Louis?
Well, my first year I graduated, they didn't sign me. They actually they actually had Bernie Federico in the minors. And
a couple of us have heard that.
Yeah, and he might have been pretty good. But because they had Bernie and they had Red Berenson, they had Gary Younger. I don't know who the other centerman was, but they decided not to sign me. Once again, the coach in St. Louis didn't know college hockey much, and so they didn't sign me at all. They didn't have the money. Ross and Perina was just taking over, so they were watching the book. When
money was much more of an object, it seems to be.
So I ended up signing with the Indianapolis Racers.
Okay.
Went there. Jacques Demers sent me to the minors because he knew nothing about college hockey players. And I played half the year in Utica, New York. Rode the bus from Slapshot. Played with guys I played with guys that were actually extras in the movie.
That's fun.
If I watch the movie, I can see 4 or 5 guys I played with as extras.
That's going to make you feel good.
Yeah. So rode that bus, finally got brought up to Indianapolis, played 30 games, I think, maybe in Indianapolis. And then the general manager who was in Indianapolis at the time went to Edmonton. And he was a college hockey, he liked college hockey. He knew about the game. He actually got me traded from Indianapolis to Edmonton. And then I played 1 year in Edmonton with Glenn Sather. And then my contract was up. I could either stay in the World Hockey or come to St. Louis because they owned my rights. And at that time, Emile Francis was helping change the team into a younger team, build the team, made a lot of changes and brought me in because I had a good season. Signed with St. Louis, and the year I signed with St. Louis is the year Gretzky left Indianapolis and went to Edmonton.
Oh, jeez.
So Gretzky actually had my line mates that I had the previous year.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a little 6 degrees of separation.
Exactly.
So you played how many total years with St. Louis?
Played 5 years here, and then that's when Ralston Perina just left the team. They gave it up, and
the rumors of going to Saskatoon.
Yeah, and basically, that's the year that we didn't even have a draft. The Blues didn't even have a draft because nobody represented the Blues.
I find that story so crazy.
Crazy, isn't it? And so while the team was in negotiation to move to Saskatoon, that's when Emile Francis went to Hartford. So I was still here when Harry Ernest had the team. Jacques Demers came in again, and a kid called Doug Gilmore came to training camp. So they saw Doug Gilmore as a good player, and I was on a bigger contract, farther into my years here. They let me go on waivers, and that's when Emile Francis picked me up because
in the history.
He knew how I could play. He knew I was a good penalty killer, played the point in the power play. So he brought me to Hartford along with Mike Crombeen and Bob Crawford. So I played 3 years there. And in the 3 years I was in Hartford, half the Blues came to Hartford because Emile Francis brought in Mike Liut, Wayne Babbage, Jorgen Pedersen, Mark Reeds, Mike Crombeen and Bobby Crawford, who were already there.
And if you've got guys you're already familiar with their playing style, easy to build a team from.
And guys do that. They teams still do that. Once you know a player and you like them and you see how they can play, you think maybe they can play the same way, or you liked his style of play. So I ended up in Hartford for 3 years. When I retired, I had kept a home in St. Louis anyway, because I knew this is where I wanted
Mm-hmm.
to raise a family. And so I came back and,
So post career, what are some of the things you've done post career?
well, I used to be uh, what would you call it? I worked for a closet manufacturing company
Okay.
because I was a director there, and then I worked for Sherwood Medical, a medical
Mhm.
supply company. I was doing promotions with them, and then I started my own promotional company. Left Sherwood Medical, and I've been selling promotional products, a lot of jerseys, a lot of hockey stuff.
Yep, I bought many things from you over the years.
Synthetic
Directly.
ice. I sell synthetic ice now that NHL players actually buy to skate on,
Nice.
and I'm still
And
doing it 30 years later.
I swear in piles of old blue stuff I have, I gained a whole pile of mail, for lack of a better word. Guy in the 70s to 80s was emailing, was sending letters to teams asking for stickers, schedules, things like that. And I have a handful from the Blues. I swear in there, one of the letters, because a guy asked about buying Blues jerseys, and your name is on there, I swear, as one of the contacts of getting game worn or
Oh, is that
authentic
right?
Blues
I
jerseys
wouldn't doubt that.
from about the mid 80s. I should have brought it with me,
Yeah.
but it was funny to find those things and reference guys like you that have still been involved in the team. And I know you're huge with the alumni.
Yeah. I was actually working with the team for a while when Brian Sutter and Joe McLetty were coaches. Brian was the head coach, Joe was the assistant. They started wanting to keep track of ice time, face-offs, giveaways, stuff like that, shots on goal.
You mean all the stuff that everybody really cares about now?
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, that was the original years. So I knew Joe and the Brian. They asked me if I would take a position and run the computer. So I was up in the press box, pressing buttons on the
Oh,
computer,
wow.
keeping track of ice time, and then we started sharing. I guess that was the first year they did it just for the Blues.
Okay.
After that, every team wanted statistics. So the statistics I put together for the Blues were actually given to the road team. They could take it with them.
And I'm surprised that was allowed, because then you're helping them develop maybe plans of who they're playing
Well,
against.
the league mandated.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, then you don't have a choice at
Yeah,
that point.
so the Blues had to share the information with the other team. So I did that, and then when Mike Keenan came in, he did his own thing.
Uh-huh.
So
Heard that a lot.
I was there for 3 years with Brian and Joe, and then when Keenan came in, he didn't hire me back to do that. So I was around the team all the time.
And then I've been involved in the fantasy camps and things over the years. I know you've been big involved with the alumni with that and other things. And it's phenomenal to see one that drafted by St. Louis, staying in St. Louis, and I'm assuming raising your family,
Oh yeah,
all
absolutely.
your
Well,
grandkids and everything else here.
What's unique about the Blues is there's guys that come here for a cup of coffee. Peter Stastny, for instance, he was a god in Quebec. Played there for how many years? 8, 10 years, maybe. I traded to New Jersey, played there maybe a year, half a year. Came here at the end of the season, maybe played a handful of games, 15, 20 games, and decided to stay in St. Louis. So he raised his family. Paul and Jan and his daughters were born here. And now I don't know if you know it, but Paul Stastny's now back here.
No, I was not
All
aware
just-
of that, but it's funny to see that generational. And again, like in the case of him, is the cup of coffee.
Yeah.
But this city seems to attract so many alumni, and I know some even from outside the Blues that have made their home here because they've been here and just like it.
That's a guy that just moved back. I just got an email from Bruce Affleck. Hey guys, welcome. And I don't even know his name. Grease. Who is Grease? The goalie that was here for 32 games.
Oh,
22, 23, I think the season.
Oh, yep. Yes.
Grace. He just moved back here.
Wow.
Bruce sent a thing out. Welcome. I don't even know his first name. Grace to St. Louis.
I should, but it's still too early in the morning for me.
I think he's a German.
Yeah, but yeah, played one season, not even a full season here.
I think he played 32 games, and now he moved back to St. Louis. He's going to be living here.
But that's got to say a lot for you guys as the alumni and what this city is. And And like I say, I've been able to see just bits and pieces of it from the fantasy camps and those kind of stuff. And it's amazing. And hour and a half up the road, I'm from Springfield, Illinois.
Yeah.
But that Midwest kind of attitude just seems to draw a lot of
It's
people.
a combination of, first of all, the Blues fans, and what's not unique about them, but they love their Brett Hulls, their Wayne Gretzky's, Brendan Shanahan's, but they also have an affinity for the Mike Zukes, the Blake Dunlops, and the Larry Patys that played in town. And that makes you feel warm and fuzzy. Plus, it's a good place to raise a family. A lot of us have grown up in Canada where it's cold and long winters. So
you got that nice mix here.
And the other thing that helps is the hockey opportunities for the kids.
Oh, because hugely.
You know, the alumni have helped. A lot of non-alumni have helped develop youth hockey in town, but we've helped a lot. And we have a lot of guys still coaching, and we've helped develop the associations and the AAA programs. And now if you're an NHL player with a kid that has some aspirations of playing at some level of hockey, there's no better place to be than in St. Louis, because your kids have the coaching and the ice time and the opportunities to develop.
And it's funny how many stories I've heard from different players that played with sons of the alumni and that have now, like the Kachucks and others that have gone on, but came through this system and were coached by alumni.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. We've been lucky because it was kind of like a snowball. Before me, Bruce Affleck, Larry Patey, Blake Dunlop, John Wensick coached. And then was my son came into play. My son's the same age as Perry Turnbull's son. Perry and I coached for years. And then right behind us was Basil McRae and Jeff Brown and Kelly Chase and Al McGinnis.
Oh yeah.
And now it's Barrett Jackman and Reed Lowe and Andy McDonald and Jamal Mayers. Those guys are coaching.
And it's got to be funny for your perspective, because again, you've seen those players come through the Blues and become alumni, and then just continue to generate more great hockey players, even whatever level the kids play, but helping, because I think St. Louis is still the fastest growing for youth hockey anywhere.
It could be. I'll tell you what, when I'm at the rink, one of the things I notice, I see girls everywhere on the ice. It's amazing how the
women's side is taken off
in North America, but also in St. Louis. It's absolutely, it boggles my mind.
I'd love to see a PWHL team end up in St. Louis.
That would be neat. That really would be neat.
So again, you've had a fantastic career, and what St. Louis and the alumni and everything built here is amazing. But I also want to get to this room.
Yes.
And you've been here in past years with the help of Wade, and we appreciate that you want to come out and sign and do this stuff. What does it feel like to you to walk into this room seeing jerseys of some players you played with or guys that you know?
It's a great feeling to know that the hockey community is so strong, and it always surprises me because, you know, I'm in my little bubble working, and then to see what the support from years ago, how many people recognize me or recognize the old players and the paraphernalia they have, and the interest in the Blues currently, but from years past. It's a neat thing to see.
It's so much history, and I mean, can you laying your hands on some of these jerseys? And I mean, you wore the old heavier material, and they got wet and nasty, and now it's all space age material and hardly feels like you're wearing anything. It's just got to be an interesting transition to be able for you to look at compare how much that stuff's changed.
Oh, it's changed so much. Well, I bet anybody, I have my jersey from when I played in St. Louis, but I bet it was a jersey that I wore my first year. I played here 5 years. I probably wore that same jersey for 5 years.
Well, because of budgets, teams didn't budget for that stuff. If they could recycle them.
Oh yeah.
And we know the Blues did heavily.
Oh yeah. And I wouldn't doubt that the jersey that I wore I was given my first year was probably worn by somebody else that wore number 21. Or a gentleman just brought a jersey, a Tony Esposito jersey, that looked like it had somebody else's number on it before. So Chicago Blackhawks probably took a number off, put a number 35 on, whatever Tony was, and gave it to him to wear. And who knows how many years he wore that.
But it's back then, and we talk about it we get together and things as us as collectors, is back then the teams didn't have these big equipment budgets and all that. And if they could save buying the set of jerseys for the next 2 or 3 years and put that money towards something else, they did.
Oh yeah. I'm still wearing, I skate once a week now, or I try to. I'm still wearing the shoulder pads I was given in 1978 when I got here, and it had number 20 on it. So it meant somebody else wore the shoulder pads and then were given to me when I showed up.
But that's awesome that you still sport those even all these years later. Because I've got a chance to skate with the alumni with the fantasy camps and that, and you see the guys, some of them still wearing the old stuff, and others have gotten the most modern. And
yeah, well, some of them you have like your elbow pads. Those old elbow pads were horrible.
Oh,
I mean, every one of the NHL guys I know, alumni, have scars on their elbows because they just didn't work well. And so you'd have to replace your elbow pads. Shin pads, I had to replace mine because there was a hole in it. Somebody took a shot, and I think it was the plastic was petrified, and it
just shattered.
It shattered. So I had to get a new shell.
But is it funny when you see that kind of stuff, or somebody brings up the super old equipment that at the time that you played was the most modern and protective that it was?
I have a pair of Hartford Whalers gloves. When I retired from Hartford, I retired mid-season, and the trainer gave me a pair of gloves that wore mine, but I hadn't worn them yet, because back then you had to wear a pair of gloves probably 2 weeks in practice.
Oh,
to
yeah.
break them in. Now you can take them out of the box and wear them. But I have a pair of Hartford Whaler gloves hanging up in my son's room, and the glove comes up to the elbow almost.
Oh, those super
gloves,
long. Yep.
They're all leather, heavier than anything, and stiff as a board, but they were up to your elbow.
Gave you good protection, though.
Oh, it did, yeah.
And
back then, guys were slashing a little bit more than they do now.
And it's funny because I played nothing hockey, beer league, and all that, but play both as a skater and a goalie, and have skated for 25 plus years. But just to see how much in that time gear has changed, and a friend of mine, actually a alumni that you know as well, Mike McKenna.
Oh yeah,
I met him when he played juniors up in Springfield, and he did an alumni event. I brought his pads from when he played in juniors, and then his last set with the Flyers, and we compared the weight and the build and all those kind of stuff, and just from 2000 to 2017, how much had changed. And it's crazy just to see how much that equipment has. I mean, the sticks, the weight of the sticks you guys used to use compared to now.
Oh yeah. I used to order, they did make custom sticks for you, but I'd get a dozen sticks in, and 6 of them I couldn't even use because the heel was about a half an inch thick.
Oh, jeez.
It was random. You'd get some that were too flexible, some that were too heavy. The curves weren't right. I mean, they tried to give you a custom stick, but the technology just couldn't do it.
And now it's insane. Everybody has their own curve and the little tweaks and all this kind of stuff.
Well, I heard that Ryan O'Reilly changes gloves every shift. When Steen was here, of course, going to equipment sales, I was told he went through 40 pairs of skates a season. Oh yeah.
But again, like you said, it's out of the box. You could step in them and go.
Yeah.
But it's just crazy. And we think about that as collectors or consumers. And but when I was getting his skates to use, they were brand new.
We used to get one new pair of skates a year. In training camp, they'd fit you, measure you, because they did make them custom. But you'd get them, so you'd have your old skates on for the first part of the year, and then you'd get new ones, and you would break those in whenever your old ones weren't good enough. Who knows when it was? You'd probably start wearing them in practice a little while after training camp, so that down the road, when the other ones were bad, you could move into them and they'd be broken in.
And now, it's like, yep, another pair of gloves, and you see them in the Of course, you see during the games, the players tossing their gloves back and getting different pairs because
Yep.
they're drying them out. And
Yeah.
some of the guys wear 3 jerseys a game.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
But if you tried that back in your day, I bet you'd have got laughed out of the arena.
First of all, you couldn't get your hands on 3 jerseys.
True.
And so, yeah, they'd wonder what the heck's wrong with you. I mean, here's a funny story. When I was playing here, we moved from, I think we started skating in Brentwood. We moved to Castle Oak. Remember Castle Oak? The ice rink there. They did not have hot water in the shower.
Oh, God.
And nobody said anything to management. I remember I hated cold water. And it was ice cold. I mean, there was no hint.
Not even lukewarm, no nothing.
No. Half the guys used to skate and then throw their stuff on and then go home and shower. And we didn't say a thing about it. If we told Mr. Emil Francis, hey, there's cold water, he said, so? And they weren't going to pay Castle Oak to change it to hot water or put the hot water. I don't know why the rink did not have hot water. But you can imagine now if the shrimp is cold on the plane, the players would complain.
All those little fancy rules and it's, I guess even with that and just the travel, how much you've seen that change from your time to current. And again, I'm not knocking the current players. Good for them that those opportunities and how that stuff happens. But I mean, you were on buses and maybe charter planes, or actually not even charter.
Well,
commercial.
St. Louis was tough because Ralston Purina did not have the money. We'd charter maybe 2 or 3 times a year. When I left here and went to Hartford, it was 100% better, 200% better because, first of all, the closeness of all the cities.
Mm-hmm.
It was an hour flight to Buffalo, an hour and 15-minute flight to Quebec City, an hour to Montreal. We'd bus to New York, New Jersey, and the Rangers. We'd bus to Boston. Of our 40 road games, I bet I was back home in my bed after a road game 25 times.
Wow.
So it was a lot easier, a lot easier on the body. And back then, the NHL coaches, they did not understand rest for the players. I bet you we had maybe 2 or 3 days off where we didn't skate. I tell the story, we'd be playing in New York, playing the Rangers. And back then it was 8:00 games. It wasn't 7:30, it wasn't 7:00 games. You'd play an 8:00 game till 11:30. You'd get out of the locker room about 11:30 or so, go get a bite to eat, a couple of beer or something. So you get back to hotel 12:31. You still couldn't sleep.
Yeah, just still wound up.
Still wound up. You'd fall asleep at 2. You'd have a flight, a regular flight at 7 a.m. to get back home. And then they throw you on the ice for an hour and a half practice.
No, thanks.
They had no idea about resting players. You were actually the best shape of your season in training camp. And by the end of the season, when playoffs start, you were in the worst shape. I mean,
because you just never got the break.
Never got the break, never rested. Skating hour and a half a day, hour and a half practice probably most of the year. Pre-game skates all the time. They had no idea. Now they understand.
But I hope the current players understand what you guys have gone through to get them where they are now.
I think they do. I mean, it's a different generation. I'm not complaining at all.
No, it's just how it was. I mean,
yeah, I appreciated playing in the NHL. I made a good living, and it's set me up for the rest of my life. But some of the guys do. I think because they've never played in an era like that, they comprehend what we went through.
And some of them in the league that have never not had a cell phone.
Right.
So, I mean, just things like that.
Yeah. And the guys that played before me used to jump on a train and get to wherever they were going. So it was different, but nowadays they all charter and they're all back home right after the game, and they have their meals. They have their meals in the locker room because they've realized they've done studies where you need to replenish, yourself right within a half hour of playing strenuous exercise. You should replenish yourself.
It's funny how much science is behind, of course, every sport.
Yeah.
And how if in your time, if somebody would have come up to your coaches and said, "Hey, you need to start doing this," they'd have blown it off as garbage.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We'd have a steak dinner every, our pregame meal was a steak dinner at 1 o'clock every game. And now it's pasta and whatever else they think they should eat. I think they have breakfast, or breakfast is available, and they have the lunches and pregame meals in the locker room, I believe.
And you see even some of the old pictures from different guys. I think mostly post game, maybe some pre, smoking cigarettes.
Oh, we had a room. Well, it's funny. We had a room at the arena where we hung our clothes. You come in, take your clothes off, go into the locker room, and put your underwear on. The room where the clothes were hanging was the smoking room.
Jeez.
So between periods, there were some couches in there. I bet there was at least 5 guys sitting in that room smoking between periods until the coaches wanted you to get ready.
Could you imagine if anybody even one, you can't smoke in any building now,
right.
But if anybody even had tried that,
yeah, it wouldn't.
But
no way.
It's funny just to hear those kind of stories, the things that don't always come to the front, or bits and pieces you've heard, and to hear from somebody like you who's lived through all that and seen the league transition and seen how the teams are run and on a shoestring budget or not at all with that, because a lot of the people listening to this show may not know that the Blues didn't show up for the draft that year because they didn't think they may not exist in St. Louis.
Yeah.
Now we've put that out there. Us as Blues fans know that history, but regardless of what team you are, that's a crazy story to hear.
It is absolutely nuts. Absolutely nuts. Yeah.
So going forward, and again, your stuff you do with the alumni and everything else that you're a part of, what else would you like to see the future of the NHL and the future of hockey around here do?
Well, I mean, I think it's on a good path. A lot of people give Gary Bettman a hard time. Look at the transition, the money that players are making now, the interest in the game, the interest in youth hockey all across North America. I think the league is in a great spot right now. I'm glad they're going to get back involved with the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have, this year, isn't there, what's the series they have this year?
The 4-team.
Game? Yeah, the Four Nations.
Thank you. Four Nations tournament.
Yeah. They've got that going on. That helps the interest. And I saw Gary Bettman on TV. The years they don't have the Olympics, I think they're going to have something similar to what they called the Canada Cup, where the nations put together teams probably preseason, and that helps because, I mean, now you've got 5 nations that could win.
Oh yeah,
between U.S. and Canada, Finland, Sweden. I don't know if Russia will ever have a team, but that's Slovakia. I mean,
and you've got the NHL teams traveling overseas at the start of the season to do those games. Of course, locally here. Last year we had, what was it, the Sweet 16 you had for NCAA at Centene, and then this coming April we've got the Final Four at Enterprise.
Frozen Four again. This is I think like I said, I played they never called it Frozen Four back in '75, but I played here, the Final Four. And then since then, I think we've had at least twice. I think TJ Oshie and a few of the guys that are older now in the NHL played in that at Scott Trade or whatever it was called.
Yeah, whatever it was that week.
Yeah. And then having it this year is tremendous. And what's neat is St. Louis fans support these events. They support the PGA Tour when it comes. It supports any athletic
look how soccer's blown up down here now.
The St. Louis fans are great to support these kind of things, and I'm sure the Frozen Four is going to be sold out.
We're excited for it as collectors, as we're going to be doing a show for that. And of course, one other, before the Frozen Four gets here, one other big event, I'm assuming you'll be part of it on the alumni side, is we've got the Winter Classic, Blues and Blackhawks again.
Although I don't hear anything. They're not having an alumni game.
What the hell? You got to get that sorted out, because
it's crazy. And what I've heard, and I might be speaking out of school, but there's not a great relationship between the Blackhawk alumni and the current owners of the Blues, or management
of St. Louis or of Chicago.
No, Chicago and their players.
Okay,
do not have a good relationship.
That's
ex-players, which is crazy because they've got the cups. But I've heard that the Tays and the Canes and the Seabrooks and the Keefs and all that aren't involved much with the Blackhawks at all.
Let's hope, because when it was hosted down here the last time, that alumni game, I think was just as popular as the actual game.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was crazy. I was there. I didn't skate, but I was there, and people showed up. It was, I think, the most attended alumni game for Winter Classic.
Gretzky, Bobby Hull, Brett Hull, the guys from both those teams that everybody knew.
Yeah.
And the beautiful weather at Busch Stadium just brought everybody in.
It was a great event. Yeah. So it's shocking that the Blackhawks are not having an alumni game.
I'm hoping they can patch that up, because I know a lot of people were excited about it. But Mike, we've taken up a bunch of your time, and I appreciate you coming on. I actually, one side note thing, here in a couple weeks, you'll actually get to be one of my celebrity coaches.
Oh, okay.
Before the November 2nd Blues game, the Pucks for Autism group is skating at Enterprise. So I'm skating as one of the goalies. So I found out
I think I volunteered for that.
Yep.
Show up.
Trying to
Jamal
remember
Mayers,
the other two,
maybe?
Phil McRae and Jamie Rivers, going to be the three celebrity coaches for that. So.
Yeah, I know they asked me, and I try and give back whenever I can.
Well, hopefully you'll be my coach, make a few good saves for you there.
If not, I'll be yelling at you from the outside.
I would expect it. I played the last 2 years as a skater, put some goals in, so I actually want to try and stop something.
All right.
But Mike, thank you so much for coming out and supporting our event, and best of luck to you with the alumni and everything this year.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Thank you, sir. So the collector we have in front of us now, first of all, I apologize for making you sad on a Friday morning. You said you always look forward to listening to shows when you get up first thing Friday morning, and we didn't have one, only because we were getting ready for the expo. So I apologize. I should have let our listeners know that there was not going to be one.
I figured it out pretty quick. That was probably the situation.
So tell us your name, first of all, for anybody who doesn't know you as collector.
Scott Henke.
So Scott, again, and thank you for being a listener and picking up on some stuff that we've talked about. You were prepping for the show, and you found a lot of old documentation for buying jerseys, including the Blues fax jersey request. So you would in late 90s, early 2000s, you would bid by fax for the St. Louis Blues. And they listed, let me take a look at one of those really quick. They would list this is from the 99-2000 season, which is funny because this was the one I remember buying specifically from. But you had a 2-page sheet. It says St. Louis Blues, Blue Note Authentics, 99-2000, set to President's Trophy season, which, by the way, they were bounced out in the first round. And then it listed the player. What was nice about it, too, is it listed the player, the condition, and then you filled out what the bid is. And they actually had a condition key at the bottom: H for heavy wear, M moderate, L white, and N no visible wear. And looking through some of these, and these are they were specific, at least on this page, as set 2. I don't know if they did other sets or other sheets, or if this was the only particular set that they auctioned off through here. But as you look through here, you see some of the guys wore multiple, and they had one column that was home white and the other that's road blue. But it's so cool to look through here and see some of the names. Of course, one of my favorites, of course, Kelly Chase on here wore 2 sets of set 2 in both home and away. So they double list him, Bob Basson. Try to see some of the other ones that are double. It looks like those 2 are the only ones that have 2 of the same set. But
the other one I have here is the 2001 playoff set. It lists the same thing, all the players, and then on the back, it literally has all the stats of the playoffs
nice.
On the back of it. So you can see how many games they wore it and what they did in those games. And I'm assuming that's be easy to photo match.
I would think so. And on the back of this one, 99-2000, they also have some equipment. They have Roman Turek's catch glove and blocker, Brent Johnson's catch glove and blocker, McGinnis's skates, Pronger skates, Turgeon skates, and then also just thrown in here a signed replica Dimitra or Al McGinnis jersey. Bids accepted by mail or fax. Be in our hands by July 31st. This is 2001. All bids should be made in U.S. dollars, Missouri residence tax, $10 shipping charge. Minimum bid on any jersey, $200.
Sign me up. Sign me up. Can we bid now?
And I love this. Please only bid on jerseys you are serious about purchasing.
Well, as you notice, these are folded like they were in an envelope. I didn't even have a computer. They mailed these to me from the Blues.
Wow. I remember actually going for this particular sheet, going and printing it off at my job and then faxing it from there. Payment due at time of phone notification. All winning bids will be notified by phone week of closing date. All jerseys come with letter authenticity. I do like this. If for any reason you are not satisfied, return a jersey and LOA within 5 business days for a refund of the bid amount. Shipping charges will not be refunded. And they even put a checklist at the bottom: is enter jersey bids on front, entered equipment bids on second page, entered name and address, fax both sides of sheets if you want any equipment, and the fax number. This is awesome that we just talked about it and you pulled it up. And I'd be curious to see how many people have 99-2000 set 2 out there, and if it kind of matches what the description is heavy wear. Of course, you've got Roman Turek, Al McGinnis, Mark Bergevin all showing as heavy in there. The guys that you would expect heavy wear from.
Yeah, this one has Drake, heavy wear, Mellenby, Scott Mellenby. And these are all from the playoffs, the one I'm looking at.
And I'll have to see how far they went in the playoffs that year, but
they went all the way to the conference finals.
Well, that's right, because they crapped out
games. Yeah, they crapped out against Colorado.
Yes, so I was actually at that game.
Jackman's first game, by the way.
So you got Bryce Salvador in here, Jamie McLaren, Rich Perron.
Yeah, Jackman's not even listed on here on the 2001. He's not even on here.
Because
he only played one game.
Yeah, because he showed up because he was drafted that year, I believe, if my memory at this time in the morning.
Or the year before. It was one of them two.
Yes. But it is so cool to look at these and see who, like one of them they have for 99-2000 is Bloin, Blouin. Doesn't even have a first name on it. I'd have to look up to know who the hell that is.
What number is he?
41. Cody Rudkowski was backing up as a goalie at one point, so his jersey's in here. But it's funny to look through these lists at that point to see who was playing. Yeah, Darren Rumble, Chris McAlpine, Rudy Proshek. It's just crazy. And then you found some other old guides or sales guides as well, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I have one from Byron's Hockey World. I have Hartel Sports, which they used to mail me catalogs in the mail because, once again, I didn't have a computer, didn't have an iPhone. Some of the prices on here are crazy. Paul Cavallini, CCM, $350.
Everybody'd kill for that.
I mean, you got a Denny Felsner here, 94.95 CCM, $200. Jay Wells, $200.
But it's funny though, because You said that was 93, 94 for,
Yes.
'cause I'm curious what,
Felsner. So that would have been the first year of the clown jerseys.
yes. Trying to see what um, I guess what the money would be today for some of those. But at those prices, I mean, it sounds high, but of the time, I mean, I was at that point, God, I was 16 years old.
Well,
So
this is from 02, this Hartel.
okay. So I
That's
was
when they, but that's pretty cheap.
right.
I mean, that's 22 years ago.
And what's some of the things that's in Milt's catalog there?
Let's see.
So basically the estimate is so the fells are at 350. Single dollar in 1994 would be worth actually you said 2002. So let's see. Oops. So it's actually not gone up that much, only about $1.75 more, but the value of the jerseys are up much higher than that.
Yeah, I'm trying to find.
And it's yeah, because you've got Milt's handwriting on the.
Yeah, he mailed it to me, or somebody mailed it to me.
I'm going to bring Milt over here as well, so we can discuss this a little bit. And while he's walking over, I do want to mention the 4th annual Detroit Hockey Game Worn Expo is coming Saturday, November 9th. Going to be at the Detroit Metro Airport Marriott.
Boy, look at that.
You reach out to Alan Astornia for that Big Al's hockey memorabilia. He can get you all the info if you want to have a table. So Milt,
yes,
we've got you here, of course, with a name tag that we should put a different name on to confuse people. But he dug out all these different catalogs from the Blues, from yours, and there's your handwriting, I'm assuming, on the outside of it, mailed to him.
No, that's Alicia.
Oh, okay.
She was my executive assistant. That's her handwriting.
And what year is this particular price list from?
Looks like 01, May of 01.
And what are some of the highlights that pop out to you there? That
this is page 3.
Okay.
So there's more somewhere. You got to keep digging.
Yeah, I got to keep digging. I guarantee you, I have them.
What gets me is that when I
here's the other one. Here's the one.
April of 01, list number 143.
What list number are you up to now?
Oh, I don't do the list. Look, I was at the Robert Morris College. I was at the Spring Expo in Toronto, Game Worn Expo in New Jersey. Wow, a lot of good stuff.
And yeah, so 23 years ago.
Yeah. There's Avalanche.
So what are a few of the prices and players in there?
Here's one. Solani in 98, 99, 2,500.
What do you think that would go for right now?
75 to 10. Kasatonov, Ducks, the inaugural season, 750. That's got to be 1,500, right? Now or more. Here, step on my toe. Calgary Flames, 450. Tell me a Ranger fan wouldn't grab that for 450.
Oh, all day long.
All day long, right? That's just cool. I actually have all my most of my lists, the master copies.
I would hope so.
I do.
Yeah, that's how I used to order stuff from you,
Yeah.
buy stuff from you, and then I'd actually physically call whoever answered your phone and talk to them.
Yep, Bill or Alicia.
But it's crazy to see these lists pop up, and like I said too, with us talking about the Blues fax ones, and then you be able to pull those out and see how things were described, and of course the most basic level, but at least they made an attempt.
Right.
Heavy,
Right.
medium, light, no. Okay, that's at least helpful if I'm bidding on ones with nowhere compared to medium to heavy to whatever. But it's cool to see how the teams did that I mean, yeah, in 2001, the internet was there,
Right.
but it wasn't trusted as much for buying and doing that. And you didn't have the auction platforms that all the teams have
Right.
access to now.
It had just it started to take off. I was at the Atlanta National, and the first time I ever knew or found out about the internet, they asked to interview me. And so this podcast interviewed me, and they explained it to me that all the people that it's going to go to. I went back to my table and looked at Bill that worked for me. I said, "We're in trouble. We need a website." I said, "When we get back home, we got to figure this thing out."
And what year was that?
Oh God, I don't.
Probably
I don't know.
what 94, 95, 96.
Yeah, probably.
That was really when.
Yeah, in that range, but I knew right away that we got to get in the game. But I said, "Bill, we got to get in the game, man."
And it's funny how far this stuff has come from the catalogs, the ads in the magazines,
Right.
to now. I got a text on my phone. These 5 teams have auctions today. Who am I going to bid on? And I instantly know I was outbid. Where like those fact sheets, I had sent them off and was curious to see if I was a high bids. They wouldn't even tell you.
Right.
You called up. Oh yeah, we received your bid. Well, can you tell me? Nope, sorry, couldn't tell you if you're highest or not. You just had to wait till the time ran out.
Yeah, and that was I remember faxing that in as well to the Blues, and then it wasn't the one before that a mail-in. I think there was a mail-in
There
one
was
too.
one in the early 90s to where every jersey was 250, and I could not find it. I knew I had it somewhere, but I couldn't find it. But it was 250, and if you were the first one to bid on it, no matter who it was, you got it.
So it was just it was a flat price.
Yeah.
Wow.
Flat price, 250.
We're talking.
I remember that. Yep.
You could get Brett Hall. I mean, obviously, there's people out there that probably did that, but
sure,
Kelly Chase, Darren Kimball, Tony Twit. I mean, the list goes on. Those jerseys are worth thousands.
It's insane, and we've all talked about it either in person on the podcast or other places. Is teams at times didn't give a damn. It was just
their junk.
Yep, and it made money for the equipment guys or the team's budget or whatever, and it was just, let's get these out the door. We paid X to buy them and get them lettered. We don't care. There's a value above that.
Right, exactly, and that's why I laugh when I hear guys say backdoor deals. It wasn't backdoor deals. The trainers had the rights to do it. That supplemented their budget. I mean, there was times where like one of the teams I actually bought Nautilus equipment. I sent the money to a company that was selling the team Nautilus. So medical supplies I bought one time.
But then it didn't cost them out of their other budget,
No,
and they could put that towards something else.
It just supplemented the trainer's budget, and so everybody had this thought that there was so many of these backdoor deals. Well, I never did a backdoor deal. Anything that I got, I had to be able to market, and I'm a national dealer. I said, if I can't put this on my list and market it, I don't want it.
Yeah, so there's no value to you at that point.
Right. So backdoor deals in me didn't occur.
And it's so interesting to see how far the hobby has come, and the more, let's say, open, but the more opportunity where we can talk to the equipment guys, the marketing people for the game worn stuff, and they're doing better tracking, they're doing better documentation, all of these things that help us as collectors, and kind of knowing how the process works from when the jerseys hit the team as a blank to the whole process and how they're being done. And we wish our teams would document better, do things different. We're constantly making suggestions. Wade and I are to the Blues with their tagging, because every time it seems they do a set one, they just put a scannable barcode in the neck. There's nothing else. Said if that sticker falls off, you're screwed. You don't know what that is anymore without other documentation.
Right. It would be nice that they did something, a little better for sure. And I think, like you said, that's something that's really changed our hobby with the teams doing that, and I think it's great. I mean, I came up with the idea of putting inventory tags in jerseys for a while, but that becomes hit or miss. I get a jersey and a trade at a show. An hour later, a guy wants to buy it, so I don't have my tag stuff to put in it, and then away it goes.
Yeah.
Without an inventory tag. So it gets kind of difficult for us as dealers to do it. I know Mike Hogan from Ice Violence is pretty good. He brings his thing with him because he learned from me to bring it with you, because I couldn't do it because I didn't bring it with me.
So two guys, and you guys have both been in the hobby a long time. Scott, with all your documentation, and Milt, well, no crap, you've been in a long time. What is I guess the biggest thing that you have liked that's changed over the hobby? I'll start with you, Scott.
I think there's more accessibility to it. You can find more people that collect. You know, when I started collecting, the first jersey I bought was in 1985. I was 15 years old. I knew not one person that had another game jersey but me. And I wanted that jersey because I felt like if I had it, I'd play like them. You know what I'm saying? Of course, that didn't work out well, but you know, I shows like this. I mean, this is my first year setting up here. I came out last year and I couldn't believe it. I was mad at myself. I hadn't set up the first year that we had it.
But you're here now, and the traffic that we're going to end up with, and just going through what you have, and the mix of stuff you have is amazing. But even just the archive stuff like that is showing how the hobby used to work, how the teams used to do it. Does that mean a lot to everybody? No, but us that have been through it, or the people, the younger collectors learning, going, hey, this is the old school way, and this is before modern technology. Milt, what do you think?
Well, I think that, to hit on that point you just made, that's why I went old school last month. I sent out one of my catalogs,
and I love
2 pages. Here it goes, old school, and a lot of people look forward to getting it. I had some technical difficulty because when I did it, I had 2 full-time employees and my ex-wife and my mother and father helping. This time it was only me trying to figure it out. But anyway, so to answer your question, I think that what is that's come a long way is, you know, certainly the information that the collector can get, the homework that they can do online, you know, the accessibility to me and you and Doc and other veterans that can help the young collector come through. I think that the one thing that I think we have to be careful with is that everything is not going to be photo matched. You know, I started the photo matching stuff back in the late 80s, and so it's evolved to where it is today. But we have to remember that on any given night, how many teams are playing, and and there's one photographer is he going to take a picture of every player on every shift? It's just not going to happen. And so,
and in some cases, I've found even on a jersey I owned is like using Getty as a reference is okay. There's 5 guys in this picture, 4 of which were listed in the picture. The guy's jersey I have wasn't listed, but I photo matched it because the mark's obvious in there.
Right.
I stumbled across it by accident.
Yes.
So you sometimes just have to search. If you know the guy played these 3 months, you may have to go to every team photo and hope he might be in it.
Hope
I mean,
the best. Absolutely. You never stop looking. I had an Eiserman Pro Set. I think it was an Eiserman Pro Set card, 1991, and the captaincy went over the shoulder yoke.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So the captaincy sat above the stitch line. And I said, I know someday I'm going to see that. And don't you know some guy in Detroit at Mount Clemens, the Gibraltar show? Hey, what do you think about this? Is it real? I went, hold still. I go over to my Red Wing book, pull the card out, and I go, there it is. It was like, and I looked at that card for years, you know, and here it walks into my booth.
And you're right. It's weird about that. And I was talking to Scott about that too. I did that with a pair of Blues Korea gloves. I bought them years ago, because again, Korea is somebody that's photoed a ton, especially with St. Louis. Never found a single picture from Getty or any other places I looked. I get 3 years down the road by the bobblehead of him, and there's one actual picture of him, the rest of the bobblehead. Looking at it, it's the exact pair of gloves. I'm like, where the hell did this photo come from? and was able to match it off that. But You're right. It's not always a 10 minutes after I get the jersey, I'm going to find it. It may take years to locate it because it's some oddball picture or weird card or something. So don't give up or don't think, well, I can't photo match this. I would say it's not real or it's not worn. It just doesn't mean that the timing was right to get that photo.
Yeah,
but
there's
it'll show up somewhere.
Somewhere. Francis Rady from Virginia, who runs the Nova show, he got a Don Sweeney from me that has a huge glue stain where the A was. Like they tried to take the glue off and they messed it up. So there's a huge gray black mark on the jersey. I got the jersey. I took it right out of the locker room. John Pizzullo went with me. He's a big Bruins collector. And the trainer said, "Here, how about this one?" And I said, "Oh, okay, I'm buying whatever you got. You know, I'm not saying no, you know." And so here, this jersey, we get right out of the locker room. And that was in the All-Star year. So at 95, since that day, we have not photo matched.
Wow.
So not 30 years.
30 years. And we have, Francis has not been able to photo match it. It's got great wear. It's got, you know, it's a great jersey, but for some reason there's no picture of him wearing it with that stain. Now, maybe he didn't wear it with the stain. Maybe they didn't put it back on him. I don't know, but.
And it's, you don't know what the team's doing. And at that point too, I don't think the team photographers were as big a thing as they are now. I mean, crap, you look around and go to the Blues or a lot of the modern arenas, there's photographers on every corner and different angles and above and all that stuff. And you had what? One guy, probably maybe two.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And that's why, you know, when, like I said, you know, back in the 80s, you know, you think about how many players are playing and how many games are being played. That's impossible.
Yeah.
The numbers are just staggering. You know, you got, what do you have? 18 players on a team, 16 teams playing, you know, in a period of 3 days. There's no way they're going to get photographed every player, every shift.
It's impossible. And a lot of the photographers are there for like the newspaper back then too, weren't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they're not, oh, we're going to take pictures of this guy because one day somebody's going to buy his jersey. They're doing it just for advertisement.
And sometimes you may catch the random, because the teams use Instagram and all that stuff now, is be able to catch it that way. That's not a regular team photographer. It's their social media person that happens to catch them in that. So your search has got to be beyond just what the team photographer or whatever is doing, but it's don't ever give up, as I think is kind of what we're saying here, because you just never going to know. I was looking at, actually, I think it's one of your jerseys. You've got it's clown jersey 40.
Yeah.
But the nameplate's out. Looks like it's only one. Looks like it's Denny Felsner's jersey because he wore 40 that year. But I did a quick search. I do see him in a red 40, but I've not been able to find any white photos yet. But there's some great marks on it that should be able to be matched.
I thought it was Tardif.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. I two names in my head. I was looking at two different things, but yes, that is Patrice Tardif, not Felsner.
And I have the opening night program
because he switched his number in there.
First game at the Kiel Center, and he's on here. Yeah, Patrice Tardif. He's on here.
Yeah, because he switched.
He switched.
Hockey Reference has the info, and he switched to 25.
Oh, 25.
See, and that's exactly how some information like number changes and stuff. It'll be somebody like us that marks it on our scorecard, but it's not in the NHL guidebooks.
Yep.
Right.
Like I have a 23 California Seals. There's no 23 listed that year in the guidebooks for California Seals, but it's got wear, it's got repairs.
So somebody wore it.
So somewhere there's a program that somebody wrote in. Not wearing 23 is Stan Weir, you know, or something.
And that's too, if you've got a jersey like that and you think there might be a number of changes. And one of the places I will say that's been pretty accurate, Hockey Reference has, because like when I first wanted to see who it was, St. Louis Blues all-time numerical roster. Okay, found 40, dropped down. There's the date, has his in there. And then when I clicked on his name and it gave me the whole Blues roster that year, it lists both his numbers, and there's a couple other guys that switch numbers too. They've at least, and I don't know where they all pull their information from, but they seem to be pretty decent with that if you don't have the books at your disposal.
And that's why I referenced, years ago, if you ever came into my office back when I was on Raleigh Road, my office there was filled with books because that's how we did it. We did it with books and guides and magazines and programs, videotapes. That's how we did it. There wasn't an internet, and so I think that the internet is great, but you might have to go to a book sometimes just to find something.
I used to go to Brentwood and watch the Blues practice training camp, and they literally would put out the lines. Somebody would write them out on a piece of paper. I have those down there. I forgot to bring them over, but I have the lines, seeing the lines and seeing the numbers that the players were wearing.
Right.
Because everybody had a different number.
Yeah.
When they first came up. Like Jamie Rivers, I got multiple ones where Jamie Rivers is wearing 40, 42, 34, 32. It's just crazy of all the different numbers.
Whatever they handed him and said, here, throw this one on.
Rookie. Here you go.
Here you go, boy. Wear this one.
Yep.
And it's fun, even just for the event like this, for any expo, is I always bring a computer with me because it's with our smartphones, we can pull up a lot of stuff, but being able to have the little bit bigger screen.
Yeah.
Wade and I have been trying to research a jersey he has and digging through photos and notes and stuff. And it's nice having that at your disposal because like you said, Milt, with the books and stuff, it's great. But if you're on the road, you don't have that stuff with you, but at least be able to start this process. Research of any jerseys is a blast.
Oh yeah. What I used to do too is I had books that I made up with if I saw a picture, I'd cut it out and put it in my
smart way to do it.
And then if when we went to the national, Bill and I would, we did the nationals, we would bring those books with us because the national, is crazy with people, and I'm authenticating all day long, and so they were a big help.
Well, I would do it when I first started buying the game jerseys. I would do it with baseball cards, football cards, hockey cards.
Sure.
Because I had no other reference. And then if they didn't have a card, I'm like, what am I going to do now? And
right.
You got to figure it out.
And that's what I used to love about seeing who's in the new card set when they come out, Like I just sold on eBay a Bob Wilkie Philadelphia Flyers autograph card. And he was wearing number 24, and I couldn't have I would have never gotten that answer if my life depended on it until this guy buys it. And I went, oh, okay, I remember that now. But like you said, the cards were big. They were big.
Well, I went to the airport when the Cardinals won the division in '96, and Al Hrabowski was the announcer. And there's a card I had of him wearing a different number than 39, like a spring training picture. So I asked him, because I want to know where the jersey's at. Do you still have this? He looks at his wife. He goes, what do you think happened to all this stuff? She's like, I don't know. I guess they threw it all away. He didn't have any idea where it was. He said back then, nobody saved anything. They just.
Or handed it to some little kids baseball league or whatever.
I mean, he was wearing like number 67 or 68. I'm sure it was spring training picture. And he signed it. He goes, nobody kept none of that stuff. We gave it back put it in laundry, and we never saw it again.
And some of that, it's sad, but of course, it's also the times. Is the teams and stuff didn't whatever, or like I said, they donated it to minor league hockey or whatever it was, and
or a guy wore it for the next 5 years.
Yeah,
a different guy wore it for 5 years. That's probably what happened too.
But that's when when I started dealing with the teams, I had to teach them that no, we're not throwing anything out. I'm taking it all. You're going to put numbers on it, so I know who the player is. But I'll take it all. The skates, I'll take that. The gloves, the socks, the shin guards. But we got to have numbers on them because that's important. Because the collector wants to know.
Yep.
I sold stuff to people that played hockey because it was good stuff that I had.
Yeah.
But I also sold, because this guy's a Kevin Dineen fan. He wants the shin guards, he wants the pants, he wants the socks. He wants everything, and then that made it really easier.
And it's funny even how much you've seen that stuff change, because early on you'd see teams, piles of socks teams are selling for $1, $5, whatever, and then you see auctions for the big name guys, and their socks are $50, $100, $200 for socks, but guys are paying that because they want that connection to whoever the big guy star player is.
Absolutely. I just bought a collection, and there's a pair of Austin Matthews socks, and they You're right. They want the socks to go with the jerseys. That guys, like to collect it that way.
Well,
they want the whole set. They want the whole uniform.
Right.
Yep. And it's funny too, though, with the modern technology and Getty and other places, those high res photos, you may be able to photo match the socks if there's stick marks or puck marks and stuff on them.
Absolutely.
It not like in the old days where it was fuzzy. And you're like, well, is that? And the material of the socks made it a little bit more difficult. Now with the edge style, I don't know what they call the Adidas version, but they're so much sharper to see that stuff.
Right.
But it's again, this hobby is changed and grown and will continue to.
Yep.
But putting us in a room like this, one, brings back memories, brings out awesome stories, and just helps show people what this hobby is like.
And I like the fact that what Scott said, he comes back the next year, he's set up, he's in full bore. We needed him.
You're not getting rid of me.
We needed him to get in here, and that's the thing about our hobby is that we need to have new blood. You have to, and that's one of the. I built the business by going to mall shows. I would go to a coin show in L.A. I would do all kind of different shows just to find those collectors that are interested in hockey, and that's how we grew the fan base, so to speak.
And it only takes one jersey, as we've told people. You don't have to have 50 or 100 jerseys to do a table. You want to just come and do a table and show it off and have 5 that you really love?
Absolutely.
So what?
It doesn't matter.
Right. Your 5 are as important to you as 200 from that somebody else has.
Exactly, Doc. Exactly, and that guy's 5 is as important to us as it is to him.
Well, because we love hearing those stories.
We understand.
Well, the guy's 5. Nobody might not ever seen him before because they've been in a closet. So they want to see him. Somebody's like, I've been wondering where this jersey's been for the last 25 years.
Well, and just walking around the room, it's a lot of that. As we can pick up different ones, and we're comparing what this team's doing with repairs or how they've done the nameplates or whatever they've done. And it's just be able to walk to this room and go, hey, we're going to look at this one and look how they did these things. And then we all get together and share our thoughts or whatever on this. It's what's fun. If we didn't make a single deal today, I don't think anybody'd be completely upset. I know, Milt, with your long drive, you might, but in general, it's just the camaraderie of all this.
Yeah, it is. And, it's honing your craft. I call it. You come to an expo, you got to be looking at the repairs. You got to be looking at the wear patterns. You got to be looking at the stitching because like I say, the jersey is going to tell you whether it's game used or not. Not a book, not a photo, not a magazine. Not the year that the player played, not the patch on a jersey, the wear. You do the wear first. And like you said, Doc, you couldn't have said it any better. Check it out and look at that stuff. It's important.
And see, again, this room's not just Blues. There are just your racks alone. Right. I think you've covered pretty much the whole league and more. But I mean, we have referee jerseys. We have all kinds of Vegas stuff, even the double middle finger special Vegas jerseys. You've got Tampa, you've got all-star stuff. I mean, it is insane.
It is. And if you're a collector and you get the chance to listen to us and listen to Doc and know where there's an expo, you got to go out. You behoove yourself to do it. You got to go look.
Or start your own. Whatever town you're in, get a couple other collectors together and sit in the back room of a bar. It doesn't have to be a hotel like we're doing here.
Right. They just did Tom Reed's in Minnesota. That's how the Minnesota guys got started, in back room at Tom Reed's bar. And this year I went out to it. It was a great event. It was a great event. John Lindbergh really did a hell of a job putting it together.
And support it any way you can, even if you're if you can't get to one, comment on it, like it, so it gets people's attention so they see it. But again, Scott, thank you for coming out here as a vendor this year after seeing stuff last year and bringing just amazing documentation and letting Milt see that other people still hold on to his stuff. I mean, all of this documentation is important.
Well, I've been talking about it to everybody that wants to listen. When I was here last year, the stuff I saw of hockey history. I mean, this is like being in a Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah,
Sort of.
absolutely.
I mean, you know, without it being called the Hall of Fame.
100%.
I mean, you're seeing stuff that a normal person just doesn't see.
And there's stuff the Hall of Fame
And that's
wishes
worth
they
the
had.
price of
That's
admission.
here.
That's worth the price of admission, 100%.
Including me.
Yeah, we're working on a display for you, Milt. We need a big glass thing with plenty of air.
Yeah.
But gentlemen, thank you both for
right.
coming on. I know
you.
we'll probably
Thank
have you
you.
on some
Thanks
more
a
over the
lot.
weekend.
Sure.